So example number 3 states, a wholesaler sells a mobile which costs him rupees 40,000 at a profit of 10% to a retailer. Now if you understand, there is a chain. How do things reach the shops? They come from wholesalers or distributors to the retail consumer shops, and from the retail consumer shops they are sold to the consumers. So this wholesaler, he sells a mobile which had cost him 40,000. He's selling it at a profit of 10% to a retailer. The retailer in turn, obviously he is also going to build in his profit. So he sells it at a profit of 15%. What is the retail selling price of the mobile? So what is it that the customer is going to pay for it, or what is the retail selling price of the mobile? Retail selling price is nothing but what the customer actually pays. So there are two sets of transactions, one from the wholesaler to the retailer and next from the retailer to the consumer. You notice in this case, I cannot use my formulas as of now. I don't know anything beyond the initial cost price. So I can move from one cost price to the selling price of the uh, wholesaler. The selling price of the wholesaler is going to be the same as the cost price for the retailer, and so I can move on like that. So I start with saying, let the CP of the wholesaler be rupees 100. Rupees 100, a 100 rupee assumption is a very safe assumption because I can work very easily with two zeros at the end. So I assume it to be rupees 100. So his selling price, which was with a profit of 10%, his selling price is going to be nothing but, if I look at the formula, this is 100 plus P, 100 plus P in this case would be 110 upon 100. 110 upon 100 into the CP here is nothing but 100. So this is 110 upon 100 into 100, which is again nothing but rupees 110. Now this was the selling price of the wholesaler. But do you agree that the selling price of the wholesaler, it's gone like this, from the wholesaler to the retailer and from the retailer to the consumer. So whatever was the SP for the wholesaler would actually be the CP for the retailer. Now, so that means the CP for the retailer is nothing but 110 rupees. I hope you got that, because when I am saying he is selling it to the retailer, that means the cost price of the retailer is the same. So the cost price for the retailer is rupees 110. Now he goes ahead and sells it at a profit of 15%. So what is his SP going to be? Therefore, his SP, which is nothing but what is actually asked, the retail selling price, is 100 plus P upon 100 into his cost price. So this here in this case is P for him is 15%. So 115, or if you, I'll write that in two steps, 100 plus 15 upon 100 into the selling price in this case is 110. So this becomes 100 plus 15 is 115 upon 100 into 110. This and this cancel. So what am I left with? The cost price, the selling price for him actually becomes 115 into 100. So 115 into 11 is going to be nothing but 115 and 115. So this is 5, 6, 2, 1. So this is 1265 upon 10, or actually I can, for the time being, I can also then cancel my with 5, and this gives me a 2 It goes 2 times first, leaving a balance of 2. In 26, 5 goes 5 times, and this is 253 upon 2, right? So I'm not going to change this fraction into a mixed number. Why? Because I'm going to be using this in a minute later. Now I'm going to be using my unitary method, and I'm going to say when the CP was rupees 100, the SP was rupees, and I'll call this RSP, 253 upon 2, right? When if I what do I do in unitary method? I always find out the value of 1. So when the CP is 1, the RSP then will be 253 upon 100, and when the RSP is actually 40,000, when the CP is rupees 40,000, the RSP then would be 253. And what do I do with this 2 which is creating a commotion here? I get that into my denominator and I multiply it with 40,000. Remember, in unitary method, if it is a case of direct variation, for one I divide and for many I multiply. So for one I divide it and for many I am multiplying. Okay. So my 0 go, the 2 goes here and I get a 200. Now I need to multiply 253 into 2, which otherwise I have a 0 and 0. 2 into 3 gives me a 6. 2 into 5 gives me a 10, which this can gets carried over, and 2 into 2 gives me a 4 plus this. So this is 50600. So that would be the retail selling price for the retailer. So my answer statement then would look like, therefore, the RSP of the mobile is rupees 50600. Is that okay? That's 50,600. So you can well imagine the kind of margins which are built in. Something which is actually costing you 40,000 is now coming to you at 50,600 rupees. There's another method, as I told you, I can work from the cost price. Let's see how I can do that, right? So let's look at the second method. I go about it as two separate transactions. Let's see first the wholesaler. Okay. CP for wholesaler is rupees 40,000. Profit percent given to you is 10%. So using this SP formula, what can I do? I can try and find out the selling price for the wholesaler. SP for wholesaler would then be, what's the formula? It is CP into 100 plus profit upon 100. So this here becomes 40,000 into 100 plus profit. What's my profit? It is 10%. So 110 upon 100. So these two zeros cancel. I have 3 zeros at the back, and 11 into 4 gives you a 44. So this is my selling price for the wholesaler. But SP for wholesaler is equal to cost price for the retailer. and that we've already calculated is nothing but rupees 44,000. At this stage, what is the profit that the retailer sells it for? It is being sold at 15% profit. So profit here then is 15% now, and so I need to find out the selling price for the retailer. So selling price for the retailer is again going to be obtained using the same formula. So in this case, my cost price is 44,000. 100 plus profit, 100 plus profit, which is 115, and upon 100. So my two zeros cancel, and again I am left with the same kind of thing, which is 0, and I need to multiply 115 into 44. Let's see what I get. 115 into 44. So 4 15s are 0 and 6, and 4 ones are 4. I do the similar thing because it's a similar number. So this is 0, 6, 4, 0, 6, 0, and 5. This is obtained on adding, and so my entire number then will become 5060. And if you remember, there was a 0 behind, and so this 0 is also here. So I've got the same answer, and I write down the answer statement as what was my question? My question was, what is the retail selling price? So therefore, the retail selling price of the mobile is rupees 50,600. Is that okay? So there are two ways of doing this. This method, the second method which I have told you, is applicable when there is only a series of two transactions. Like from here, I had from the wholesaler to the retailer and from the retailer to the consumer. Suppose I had from the manufacturer to the wholesaler, from the wholesaler to the retailer, from the retailer to the consumer. The first method which I told you would have been easier. Similarly, if you had been told the RSP and from there you had to work back here, here, here and here, it would have been better if you applied the first method. Is that okay? So please keep in mind, at times there are more than one method to do a sum, but we need to keep in mind which one would be the better method to go about it. Now with this, we are going to be moving into the fourth example. So the next example up on the board is that of a very common situation when it comes to business dealings. Sometimes you have to put up a price which would incur a loss, but then if you see a customer and you feel that the customer is going to be able to pay up more, the shopkeeper very unscrupulously or he jacks up the price, but then he should be able to understand what price he has to sell it for in order to make a certain profit. So let's have a look at this example. If a TV dealer keeps the selling price of a TV at rupees 24,480, he loses 4%. How much should he sell it for if he wants to actually gain 4%? Now, all this time, if you remember, whenever we are talking about profit percent, profit is always on the cost price. Loss is again always on the cost price. So, with the first sentence, if a TV dealer keeps the selling price of a TV at this, he loses 4%. Can I actually find out the CP at this stage? Will this help me get the CP of the TV? This much of information which has been given to me. I know the selling price of the TV. I know the loss that is incurred. That should be able to get me the CP. And from the CP, then I know the CP. I know the gain required. Would I be able to get the new selling price? Yes. But why did I have to go from selling price first to cost price and then to selling price? Precisely because I cannot find out the selling price on the old selling price. I need to find out the selling price given the fact that he is making a gain of 4%. What does he make a gain on? He makes the gain on the cost price, not on the selling price. So, given the earlier selling price, we will have to move back to the cost price, and from the cost price, knowing the gain that is wanted, we will have to move to the new selling price. So, having understood what is to be done, it becomes very easy then to do the sums because it is a mere use of the percentage formulas. So, let's just write down what the solution is. Let's just write down what is given. So, the old selling price of TV is given as rupees 24,480. At that time, he is incurring a loss of 4%. That being so, the cost price of the TV, what formula would I be using? I know the loss and I know the selling price. I need to find out the cost price. So the formula applicable would be this one where I say cost price is equal to selling price into 100 upon 100 minus L. So I write down that formula. This is going to be SP into 100 upon 100 minus L, which then becomes 24,480 into 100, and 100 minus L, 100 minus 4 becomes 96. If you know the factors of 96, factors of 96 are 6 and 8 and 2. 6 into 8, 48 into 2 is 96. So let's try. This is very visibly divisible by 6, 24 and 48. So I cancel with 6. And what do I get? 24 when I divide by 6, I get a 4. 4 does not go by 6, so I get a 0. 48 goes how many times? It goes 8 and I have a 0. Right? Now 8, 40 and 80. Again, very visibly divisible by 8. So in 40 it goes 5 times. In 8 it goes 1 time and I have a 0. Now 2, this is also an even number. So this is very visibly divisible again. And what you get? 255 into 100, which is nothing but rupees 25500. See, it becomes very easy if you break up the number into its factors and then divide, right? Now, I know the CP of the TV is this. At this time, I need to build in a gain of 4%. Gain required or profit required is 4%. I know the CP, I know the profit, I need to calculate the new SP. How can I find out the SP when I know the profit percent and the selling price? Profit percent and the cost price known, the selling price then can be found out with the formula CP into 100 plus profit upon 100. Always put it into brackets so as to avoid any confusion. So this is CP, which is 25,500, 100 plus the profit, which is 4%, 104 upon 100. The zeros cancel and you are left with 255 into 104, 255 into 104. When you multiply with 4, always multiply with the units digit place first. 4 5s give 20. Carry up the 2. 4 5s are again 20 plus the 2, 22. 4 2s are 8 plus that you get 1020. The next time around is a 0, so there is nothing. The ones digit is a 1. So when I multiply 255 with 1, I'm going to get the same number. And so my final thing is 0 to, on adding up, I get this as my answer. So this becomes rupees 26,520. So if I need to build in a profit of 4%, then I would need to sell the TV for 26,520. Have I been able to answer the question asked? How much should he sell it for to gain 4%? So the new selling price. And I then write down my answer statement as an answer to this question. Therefore, the dealer should sell it at rupees 26,520 to make a profit of 4%. Is that okay? So these are the various variations in profit and loss questions. In fact, there are multiple such variations. Here from this, you could have got an idea that there would be something like a discount also. He may have been offering a discount earlier and he now is no longer wanting to offer that discount. So there comes in questions where there is a discount. So he needs to mark up his goods. After marking up his goods, he needs to give a discount. There may be other questions where there are multiple things bought. Like suppose I am a dealer, a fruit dealer, and I buy say 100 dozens of oranges. Now I'm able to sell 80 at 100 dozen. Let me say I'm able to buy at say 60 rupees per dozen. I'm able to send around 80 dozens at a rate of 80 rupees per dozen. The rest 20 dozens have started spoiling, and I'm able to sell them only for say 50 rupees a dozen. But then, am I making a profit in all, or am I making a loss in all? So there are multiple variations in questions of profit and loss. But with the help of these questions, I trust that you would have been able to understand a little bit of profit and loss. Just seeing that these are the formulas which we are going to be using throughout, and an analysis of the sums will actually tell you how you have to deal with the sum. The next lecture, I in profit and loss, then would be something on discounts, right? So if you have understood this particular lecture, it will be very easy to get on into discounts. And if you have any kind of queries, you can come back to me. As usual, you know where to contact me. My YouTube channel, LearnMate2K24, and my phone numbers are up on the board. Thank you. Have a nice day.